Bothers, beginning with B. Many of our city friends openly envy us for our ability to escape to less frantic surroundings and enjoy the tranquility of our bush hideaway. Therefore, it seems paltry to dwell on those petty annoyances which occur in every environment, no matter how utopian they might seem. When I made a mental list of all those things that bother me, I found to my amusement that many begin with the letter B. For example, there's the permanent nuisance of blackberry that we can never quite eradicate, no matter how often we break our backs in our efforts to root it out. Under every blackberry bush there are always nests of bull ants. These creatures mind their own business and take unkindly to anyone interfering with theirs. If their nests are disturbed, they can and will inflict a nasty and bothersome bite. Just beyond the blackberry, detachments of blackbirds wait to devour anything our fruit trees manage to produce. We happen to be in one of the few areas getting a decent rainfall. Thus, alongside the blackbirds, squads of bunnies have descended on us from drier areas and are presently feasting on our grass. And for some curious reason, platoons of bees find the roof above my shower an irresistible place to set up a hive. Makes bathing a heart-stopping experience. While my city friends continue to covet the stillness and hush of the bush, I forbear to mention our neighbouring dogs. In some kind of canine conspiracy, they prefer to keep their noisy and intermittent barking for well after midnight, then barking loud enough to wake us and long enough to make it hard to get back to sleep. But not all is lost. Recently, and I suspect because of the ongoing drought in other places, bellbirds have started nesting in our trees. As they flit from tree to tree, almost unseen in their olive-green feathers, their lovely song almost compensates for all those other bees that continue to bother us. And there's always the wonderful bush, which also happens to begin with the letter B. Country general stores. In our part of the world, we rely on our small general store to supply us with newspapers, milk, bread, and any groceries we've forgotten to bring from the city. In our 30 years of coming to our bush hideaway, we've gone through several general store owners. Most have been couples seeking a sea change. Most survive 5 to 6 years of hard work before falling into an exhausted heap and selling. Some claim they've enjoyed their spell, though they bemoan the 12-hour, 7-day week these stores demand. Though I strongly suspect that many of those couples bought themselves a job, not all have been successful, nor do they always enjoy their work. Many couples have problems that are exacerbated by tiredness and continual proximity. The first lot I came across had contrasting interests. Hers was spiritual, yoga and tai chi. His concentrated on producing goods he could sell. Though he made the best pies and pasties I've ever tasted, his gruff, often rude manner turned many customers off. Since then, I've observed couples endure marriage breakups, nervous breakdowns, runaway children, and loss of face. Running a general store is not a business for wimps. From my modest observation, their success or failure seems to depend on position. If they're on a main highway, there's enough capital to put into them, and they're run by like-minded couples, they usually succeed. But you can't have one or two of these ingredients without the third. A recently renovated store in the next village is flourishing because all three factors coexist. When asked for the secret of their success, the owner said, "It's hard to find reliable labour, so you have to be prepared to be here all the time. Also, you have to be careful as to what you stock." So my advice for anyone contemplating this as a future career move is to consider the idea very carefully. If you've found the right position, like your partner enough to be with him or her 24/7, and have loads of capital, well, go ahead. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Doggy prison. In case you think I have it in for dogs, in our street there lives a black bitzer, the friendliest canine I've ever met. Poppy is so sweet-tempered, so unterritorial. She's the only dog 3 full-blooded dingoes living 2 houses away will tolerate, and she exercises with them on a 4-dog lead. What a sight for sore eyes. In an area where dogs are often big and unpleasant, Poppy is a reminder that in prehistoric times dogs were man's natural ally, and that some dogs are nicer than their owners. Poppy loves people and walkies in equal proportions, and her needs are easily accommodated. Though she wanders from one end of the street to the other, she's smart enough to know those neighbours she can safely accompany on a longer walk, and when it's wiser to stay home. However, her greatest love is the beach, where she frolics in the sand, wallows in the sea, and chases birds without considering the consequences. Recently, Poppy has come up against the law. Our foreshore is clearly marked: no horses, no camping, no fires, no dogs without leads. A neighbouring village was so annoyed by a similar sign they pulled it out and continued letting their dogs run free. But it turns out that Poppy has been following a stranger down to the beach. What makes things extra bad is that the stranger leaves her there until Poppy herself decides she's quite ready to go home. So Poppy is in trouble. Her owners, who work all day, assure me that Poppy can jump any fence, so there's no point locking her in, nor are they willing to tie such an inoffensive dog up. But Poppy has broken the law and thus threatened with doggy prison. In other words, the pound. This strikes me as so unfair. If Poppy goes to jail, what about all those other dogs that keep us awake with their continual barking and howling? Or is this just another instance where the innocent is punished and the real criminals get away with it? Bellbirds and other plaints. The trees, bushes and flowers on our bush block provide food and shelter for many birds. Amongst our visitors and residents we include blackbirds, wattlebirds, mudlarks, rosellas, magpies, kookaburras, woolly wagtails, finches, crows, galahs, wood pigeons, yellow and blue-breasted wrens, honey-eaters, miners, tawny frogmouth, and barn owls and grey shrike thrushes. And to our delight, for the last few months, we have been able to add bellbirds to this list. Then we gradually noticed that many of the aforementioned birds were disappearing. Why were they deserting us? We knew it couldn't be lack of food, because we're in a blessed area that still receives a little rain and our block is green. It was a visitor who offered a rational explanation as to why our bird population was changing. In one word, bellbirds. Bellbirds are gregarious, noisy and pugnacious. An olive-green bird with a yellow bill and legs, they dart between our gum trees almost too fast to ever get a good sighting. Anyway, bellbirds don't hang around forever. Flocks will suddenly appear and disappear as the whim takes them. Seems that bellbirds are a species of miner, and though their song or tink is wonderful, like other miners, they have some unpleasant habits, one being a tendency to drive away other honey-eaters. Only the blackbirds, wattlebirds, magpies and kookaburras have been stalwart enough not to be bullied away. No point getting angry and upset. Rather, I prefer to view bellbird aggression as yet another example of Darwinian survival. If you should travel to Europe or Asia, one of the things that will strike you is how few birds there are. In some countries, the forests are deathly silent. All you ever hear are a few crows squawking. When people starve, birds turn into another source of food. So, back to our bush block, where the bellbirds have taken over. Rather than lament the loss of these other species, I feel I should celebrate what we have and enjoy the continual tink, tink that heralds their presence for as long as they intend lingering in our vicinity.